Welcome back to Hype FM, celebrating the best and latest in New Zealand music. Today's special guests are New Zealand's favourite pop duo, Ash and Gabe from Foley. Woo! Welcome to the show.
Favourite.
New Zealand's favourite.
100%. Quick intro. You guys don't really need it, but last year they released their debut album Crowd Pleaser, which has had millions of streams. They've had over 600,000 listeners in 180 countries last year.
Whoa.
And even had their own Spotify equal billboard in the middle of Times Square, which is insane. You've opened for the likes of Remi Wolf, Tove Lo, Still Woozy, and Two Door Cinema Club, to name a few. So, yeah, very impressive. And today we are here to celebrate your latest single, Miss You All the Time. Such a catchy tune. I love it so much.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about the concept of this track?
Yeah, well, we wrote that song last time we went over to the US. We were over there writing songs and just trying to live our musical dream. And we were having such a great time, but we also kind of had this feeling of, I guess, a clash between wanting to achieve your goals and being away from home and having an amazing time, but also really missing the people back home and
100%.
Wishing they were there with you, and we'd be doing really cool stuff and then thinking maybe we should wait and do this next time when our partners or our friends are here, or I don't know, it was just a really tricky feeling to be having such an amazing time but also really, really missing our people back home. So when we came back to New Zealand, we wrote that song, and then when we released it recently, we were back in LA playing shows, doing the same things.
Exactly the same thing.
Feeling the exact same. So it was kind
yeah.
of funny. It was really, strange to be back in the same position when it came
Yeah,
out. But
100%.
it still, it felt really strong for us, which was cool.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. You're going out there, living your dreams, and the sacrifices sometimes you can't see your loved ones as much as you can. So I think that's a really cool message.
For sure. I think people who are, there's so many of our friends that have left New Zealand and are living overseas and have always wanted to, you know, and then you get there and you're like, this is amazing, but also I do really miss my family.
Yeah,
and
100%.
It's tough, but I think, really relatable.
Definitely. And what was your favourite part about working on this song in particular?
I actually really liked doing the lyrics. They came out quite quickly, if I can remember correctly. Cool. And it was one of those ones where you just have a really repetitive refrain. You've got kind of some cool motifs that you want to throw in there. And, we worked on it with Josh Naley, who's done a bunch of writing with us in the past, and he was feeling exactly the same. He was about to go to America, I think, at the time. And sort of he was readying himself to experience what we had.
Of course.
So we're it sucks.
No, it's not that
Don't
great.
do it.
So I think when we were writing it together, we were all just in quite a free flow. We were all just bouncing off each other. That was really cool.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And since the release of your debut album, Crowd Pleaser, you've had such an amazing response to that. How does it feel to have so many millions of people and streams listening to that song?
It's crazy. I mean,
the album.
Yeah, you can't really wrap your head around it, to be honest. And you look at the numbers and it's quite a disconnect from actual reality.
Yeah, 100%.
And you definitely don't feel the same way looking at the numbers as you do when you're at a show, looking at a crowd and hearing people and talking to people about what the songs mean. But just as a sort of, to take a step back, those are all the people that have listened to it and hopefully found some meaning, which is just bizarre to us. Within that is all of these people that have their own experiences with the music and have their own lives. And that's just a crazy thought.
No, it's when you see those numbers, you can't really fathom how many people
that it's a real person.
And then I try to always compare it to how many people are in Spark Arena, a full room, and then timesing that by whatever amount. It's just nuts to think about.
I feel like that's kind of the challenge for artists today, is to kind of get a real sense of who your listeners are and how you can connect with them. Obviously social media is amazing because you can connect with people all over the world. But it is really strange to look at the numbers and be oh, these people are listening, but who are they? Where are they listening? Is it in their cars? Is it at parties? Is it what's actually going on? And unless you get to actually go and play physically in a city, that's where you really get to see who your actual audience is, and not just a demographic on a pie chart on Spotify for artists or whatever, but actually physical people and them telling you how they found the songs or like what connected them to the songs.
Yeah.
Like that's the moment where it all kind of feels like it comes together. So it's amazing to get to be back playing live. Like obviously we all couldn't for such a long time. So I think it's that moment where you actually see like the true connection and that's where it feels real.
That's so cool. And it must be, you must be getting recognized as well and like people coming up to you telling you about, have you had like any fan experiences like that?
A little bit,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say we're like at a level of fame where we're like being papped or anything.
Nah, for sure. I mean, who said maybe you said this to me, but like I feel like the level of fame that you aspire to get to is when someone can do a Halloween costume of you.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
So like I'm waiting for October, you know.
Yeah,
like,
you've got to have an iconic moment in one of these shows coming up and be like,
see.
I will dress up as Ash and Gabe.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like wigs and, you know, getting like everything together. Yeah. That's when, you know, the brand is strong.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll know for sure then.
Yeah.
It's TBC otherwise. Yeah.
Guys, find a costume.
Get ready. A partner.
Get ready. You've got a couple of months to go. Yeah, totally. Oh, that's so cool. And then congrats on being nominated for Best Pop Artist at the AMAs, Aotearoa Music Awards. How does it feel to be recognised in that way? And you've obviously alongside some awesome other pop artists as well.
We are, I mean, it's an awesome feeling. Like, I think you obviously don't do any of it for like awards and accolades, but I think it's a really nice moment to just stop and reflect on the year that you've had and what you've achieved and be like, wow, this is really cool what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're getting to make music and people are discovering it. And I think it's not often that you actually stop and do that because I think you're always on the hamster wheel and always kind of like focusing on the next thing.
Totally.
So I think for us, it's just been nice to be like, all right, like we're in the mix. And also Georgia and Paige, who we're nominated with, are just like two of our best friends and peers in music that we really look up to and love. So it's cool. I'm like hoping we're all going to be sitting at the same table and I feel like no matter what happens with like winning or anything like that, we're all just going to be so gassed.
Oh, amazing. Just to be there is so
it's so cool to be there and we're really happy.
Oh, so good. And it's New Zealand Music Month. So
sure is.
I'd love to ask you, who are your favourite New Zealand artists at the moment? Are there any songs that you love and connect with?
Definitely.
That have been released.
I saw Borderline play for the first time recently.
Yeah.
And they were amazing. Yeah. And I their song This Is Not Love.
Yeah.
I'd only seen it played live once and I woke up the next day with it in my head.
Oh,
and then I went onto Spotify and found it and was like, man, this is really good songwriting and like they're super tight, really talented, really nice people too. Like such awesome. Nice guys.
Yeah.
Love them. And I also love Frankie Venter. I saw her play here actually.
Yeah.
I think was she opening for someone or might have been Ones to Watch actually.
Yeah, Ones to Watch.
Yeah. And she was amazing too. Like I'd seen snippets of her songs, but I hadn't seen the whole songs. And it was cool to like really understand who she is as an artist and like the wider kind of concept of her project and
100%.
So both of them were amazing, but there's so many.
So
you
many.
Have more.
I was just gonna say Phoebe Rings. We saw Phoebe Rings yesterday
good.
and I don't know, I hadn't heard anyone from New Zealand that sounded like that before. Maybe that's due to ignorance, but also like we were at the art gallery and it was a Sunday afternoon and it was just like the perfect vibe and I was like so impressed and like transported to like a different space like within myself and in the room and it was just like, oh, this is what music is meant to do. And
so good.
I was really, really inspired.
Your song recently got synced for an episode in the Kardashians.
That's
just crazy and insane.
So
I know you've talked about it a little bit online already, but how did that come about and how does that happen and how do you feel about it?
Like, I mean, I don't think we really actually know how exactly it happened still to this day, but we just got an email from our label one day that was like, do you want to license the song for use in a reality TV show? And we were like, like what are the details? And then they were like, oh, it's the Kardashians and it's the season finale and they want to use this much. And we were like, great.
Cool.
And then fast forward a bit, we like went to go watch the episode and figure out like where they'd used it. We were like, it's just background music or whatever. But then it was the very first scene of that finale, and you hear the lyrics. My guitar solo's in there. Like
so good.
They chopped it up a whole bunch and used like most of the song. And That is bizarre, to be honest. Because now we know, assuming that they approve the episodes themselves.
Yeah.
I think they do, because they're executive producers.
They must do.
They must.
So,
they've seen
Kylie and Kim, hello.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It definitely wasn't on the bingo card. Like, we didn't think, one day we'll have our song synced to the Kardashians. Like, I wouldn't have said it was like a goal of ours, but when it happened, it was like, sure. I mean, crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
I definitely
crazy.
I watched it when I was a kid. I remember seeing the early episodes with and it was Ryan Seacrest and E and all of
Ryan,
that time of my life. And
absolutely.
so it was quite funny, looking back on little wee Ash. It was just man, never would have guessed,
And
so
a lot
cool.
of people came out of the woodwork as well.
Yeah, really?
I saw you on the Kardashians. I was like, you saw us on the Kardashians.
Yeah, so you watched the Kardashians.
Interesting. Yeah.
So good.
That's so good. And then how do you, for those who don't know, around syncing and TVs and movies and ads and that sort of thing, how do you put your song out there for it to be picked? Or is it more just a situation of they come to you?
It's a little, I feel like it's kind of a dark art, the sync world.
Definitely.
It's, in that case, for us, they came to us, but I think, often you'd find a sync agent or someone who could represent your music in that space, because film and TV, they all have someone on their team called a music supervisor. Yeah. And they're helping choose all the music for that show or that film or whatever. And so the music supervisors will have relationships with sync agents to try and find songs that they want, and often they'll have a reference song. And then the sync agent will find something similar for them, and all of that kind of thing. So I think if you want to be getting synced, ideally you'd try and find someone who can represent you in that way. And I mean, for us, we've worked with lots of different people in the past and had different syncs from different teams, but once we were signed to a record label, then our label was doing that on our behalf. But it's not to say that you can't just be doing it on your own. And there's lots of people that I think just get randomly hit up for a song. You just never know.
I bet.
It's very much a dark art, I think.
That's, I guess you just put yourself out there and then see what comes
totally
comes to you.
Totally.
Yeah,
you just never know. Yeah.
Cool. And I wanted to talk to you about this. So you've recently come back from the US. You've done a couple of shows in LA, New York. How did that come about? What was that experience like to perform over there?
Yeah, wow.
So cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
It's great. It's one of those, that is on the bucket list. It's one of those moments. And we'd played in the US before for South by Southwest last year. Awesome. But we hadn't played in LA or New York, both cities which we spent a lot of time in and love. And have a lot of friends and, connections in each city. And so it was nice to go and sort of do what we do best in those cities, because we've usually gone for songwriting, which, I think we're also good at. But performing live is the bread and butter of the project.
Right.
We love doing that. So to go and do that was really special, and to perform at such a wide variety of venues, including the place we played in Dumbo in Brooklyn, which was overlooking the entire Manhattan skyline.
So jealous. I love New York.
Yeah, I didn't want to face the audience.
Yeah. You're just I
was looking out the window.
View. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really special, and we had lots of fans there, coming out, which was kind of unexpected. We had this guy from New Jersey drive all the way over the bridge to New York, and he brought one of the Polaroids that we'd put in the very first couple albums that we sent.
The vinyl that we'd sent out, so he'd bought one and had the Polaroid.
Oh my gosh,
and then he brought it with him. It was crazy.
So,
that's so cool.
Very cool.
Just special to connect with people, like we were saying before.
Yeah.
That's when it all becomes real.
Yeah, totally.
So it was really fun.
Nice. And are there any plans for you to go global and travel around
I mean, always.
Yeah.
International.
Yeah, international.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, I think we're kind of starting to find our fans more in Australia and the US. That's kind of starting to grow for us. So hopefully we're going to get over to both of those places more to start playing for people. And yeah, it's cool. It's when it's starting to bubble away, it means you can start following that and start kind of going out to see people, and we're excited.
No, it's so cool to see your rise, and you've just been doing amazing. Obviously, you've been releasing music for so long, and then just to see all these opportunities coming your way is awesome to see, because you guys fully deserve it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
we're trying.
It's been awesome. Trying. And what's next for you for the rest of 2024?
Well, we just released the first single of the next kind of like chapter.
Yeah,
of
exciting.
what we're doing, and yeah, we've written lots of music that we really love. Like,
cool.
I think it's our best music so far.
Yeah, we've actually written, it's the best music we've ever written.
Hey, okay.
I know people always say that, but
Yeah.
I actually just genuinely do love these songs so much, like more than I ever have. Not because I didn't like them previously, but just like this just feels so good.
Yeah,
you know? And we actually had so much fun writing all of it as well, which I think does like make you like it even more.
Yeah,
you look back so fondly, and so we're going to be releasing lots of music all for the rest of the year, and just getting it all out there, you know, like not overthinking releases and strategy and all of that, but just trying to get more music out for our audience and experiment with things and just have fun, I guess, as well, you know.
Yeah, kind of break it back down to the reason that we're doing it in the first place, right?
Yeah.
It's like capturing our experiences, but capturing them in a really interesting and new way for us. So I'm sure we'll talk more about it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
you know, the process of how we wrote it all, and what all the tracks are about, and who we wrote it with, and everything like that. So yeah, I can't wait to share.
Yeah, I'm very excited to listen to it. And
we can send you a sneak.
Okay.
A little sneaky peek.
We should discuss it.
Oh yeah, sorry. Don't link it online.
No, I won't. I promise. And one last question for you guys. For all the new artists out there in New Zealand, what is your main piece of advice for their careers moving forward?
Ooh.
I give the same piece of advice every time we're asked this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know I'm repeating myself, but I do think this is the best advice.
Yeah.
Is just to be patient.
100%.
And I think like the reason that I always say that is because when you first start out, I think it's so easy to get discouraged. Actually, not even just when you first start out. I think all the time it's easy to get discouraged.
Yeah.
And people are kind of constantly fed this concept of artists breaking overnight, or, you know, like it just happened because you're talented enough, so it will just happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's totally untrue. And I also find the artists that I'm most inspired by are the people that have been working for a really long time and then get that moment. Like Kaylee Bell is a perfect example.
She's
like,
killing it.
She's killing it, and she grinded for such a long time and just became like, I mean, she was already so talented, but she'd honed her craft for such a long time that when that moment came for her where it kind of like skyrocketed, she was so ready, and she had all of these songs she'd already released that people could go and fall in love with. And like, you know, her story is actually more realistic and more inspiring, I think. So I think if you're like a new musician, or even if you're like a bit in and it hasn't like happened for you yet, that's like pretty normal. You know, it's like you just have to keep grinding away and hopefully enjoying the ride on the way as well. And like, as you said, we've already released so much music, and we've just started having some like pretty awesome opportunities, but we've been working for a long time to get to that point. So yeah, I think you just got to stay in it, stay in the game, be patient. It will happen slowly, but yeah, just enjoy the ride as you go, I think.
That's some great advice. Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to jump on top of that because that was almost perfect, but I did
almost
see
perfect. Almost.
I'll just add that.
It was almost perfect. But we've been thinking and saying this for a little bit as well. But we did see a TikTok of Dom Dollar saying it as well. And I just think it's so important. You got to be able to sleep on a plane.
Yeah.
You have to be able to sleep on a bus.
Learn.
You got to be able to sleep in a car.
Yeah.
Facts.
These are great pieces of advice.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's
Get
very
a good
crucial.
neck pillow right from the start.
I don't use one.
Gabe doesn't use a neck pillow.
You can sleep without a neck pillow?
Yeah.
Damn.
But does he sleep as deeply as I sleep with my neck pillow? Memory foam, you know.
Yeah.
I still haven't mastered the skill of sleeping on a plane. I am trying to learn as much as I can.
True.
I've got to go overseas next month, so I've got to figure
it out.
If
you want to borrow my neck pillow.
Honestly,
Honestly,
give me the brand.
I'm
Give me a
so
link.
deeply asleep that my mouth is open and I'm like, you know. Whereas Gabe's kind of like, it can't be REM
Yeah,
sleep.
it does. Oh, it's good. It's good. Yeah.
He'd never admit it.
So yeah, that's my my inspiring piece of advice.
I love it. That's so good.
Up and coming musicians.
Nice. That's all my questions for you. Is there anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
No, I think that's us. Just, you know,
thanks for having us.
Stay tuned.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming. And yeah, go check out their latest single, Miss You All the Time. And any upcoming shows? Thanks.
that we can talk about yet.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Nope.
We'll leave it at that. Thanks so
No.
much for coming on.
No. Thank you so much for having us.
No worries.
It's nice to chat.